She said, "Don't be so possessive, my body is my own." After I questioned a hickey on her neck, I replied, "You're absolutely right." I then changed the beneficiary on my life insurance policy from her to my brother. She discovered how possessive I wasn't when she realized she no longer had a claim to the biggest asset I controlled, my future. The first thing I saw when I woke up last Tuesday was the hickey. It wasn't a faint, ambiguous mark. It was a full-blown dark purple, angry-looking bruise sitting right there on the pale skin of my girlfriend's neck just below her ear. It was the kind of mark that doesn't happen by accident. It's a statement of brand, and it wasn't mine. I'm a firefighter. My entire life is about running into burning buildings while everyone else is running out. I'm trained to stay calm in the middle of chaos, to assess a situation, identify the threat, and neutralize it. But as I lay there in the quiet morning light of our bedroom staring at that mark on Sarah's neck, I felt a kind of cold panic I had never experienced on a fire ground. The fire, I realized, was in my own house. To be honest, the smoke alarms had been going off for months. I just kept hitting the snooze button. Sarah and I had been together for 3 years, living together for 2 in an apartment I'd bought before I met her. The first year was the kind of easy, comfortable love you build a life on. But something shifted when she got a new job in marketing at a trendy downtown startup. She fell in with a new crowd, single, hard partying, and from what I could gather, morally allergic to the concept of monogamy. Suddenly the life we had built became a source of constant complaint for her. It was too quiet, too boring, too stable. She started talking about her freedom and her individuality. The red flags started popping up one by one. There were the late nights out that stretched until 4 a.m. with her coming home smelling of cigarette smoke and cheap tequila, claiming it was a networking event. There was the way she guarded her phone like it was a state secret, a habit that started overnight. The phone was always face down and she'd take calls in the other room. I'm not a jealous guy. My job requires me to have absolute trust in the people around me. It's the only way to survive. I tried to extend that same trust to her. When I'd bring up my concerns, she would deploy a verbal flashbang grenade of pop psychology buzzwords. I wasn't expressing my feelings. I was being insecure. I wasn't asking for respect. I was being controlling. I wasn't her partner. I was a threat to her autonomy. The hickey, though, that was different. That wasn't a red flag. That was a 5-alarm fire. I waited for her to wake up. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just sat on the edge of the bed and waited. When her eyes finally fluttered open, I pointed to her neck. "What's that?" I asked, my voice quiet. She instinctively reached up and touched the spot, her eyes widening in panic as she felt the tender skin. She couldn't see it, but she knew. She scrambled out of bed and ran to the bathroom mirror. I heard a muffled curse. She walked back into the bedroom, a defiant, angry look on her face. This was her go-to move when caught in a lie attack with overwhelming force. "It's just a bruise," she said. "It's a hickey, Sarah," I replied, my voice still calm. "Don't insult my intelligence." "Fine," she snapped. "It is. We were out dancing. Things got a little crazy." "It's not a big deal." "Who were you dancing with?" I asked. And then came the line, the one that would change everything. She crossed her arms, looking at me with pure contempt, as if I were the one who had done something wrong. "I don't have to answer that," she said, her voice dripping with indignation. "Don't be so possessive. My body is my own." I just looked at her. All the little lies, all the disrespect, all the late nights and secrets, it all coalesced around that one perfect hypocritical statement. She wanted the freedom to have her body marked by other men while also enjoying the security and comfort of the life I provided. She wanted all the benefits of a partnership with none of the loyalty. My training kicked in. Stay calm, assess the situation, identify the threat. The threat was clear. The entire foundation of our relationship was a lie. I nodded slowly. "You're absolutely right," I said. The fight went out of her eyes, replaced by a smug look of victory. She thought she had won. She thought she had successfully defended her right to be a terrible partner. I stood up and went to the kitchen to make coffee. As I was standing there waiting for it to brew, I thought about the concept of possession. She accused me of being possessive. But what did I really possess? What did I control? Not her, certainly. The only thing I really controlled was my own life, my own choices, my own future. And that's when I thought about the life insurance policy. It sounds morbid, I know. But for a firefighter, life insurance isn't some abstract concept. It's a very real, very practical part of the job. It's the ultimate act of planning and protection. When I first joined the department, I took out a substantial policy. It was my way of making sure that if the worst ever happened to me, the person I loved would be taken care of. The sole beneficiary of that policy was Sarah. It was a promise, a tangible 7-figure promise that her future was my priority. I walked into my home office, coffee in hand, and logged into the insurance company's online portal. I navigated to the beneficiaries page. There it was, Sarah Miller, fiancé 100%. I looked at the word fiancé. It implies a union, a shared future, a mutual possession of each other's hearts. But she had made it clear that wasn't our reality. My body was my own. Her body was her own. We were, by her own definition, just two autonomous individuals cohabitating. I clicked the edit button. I deleted her name. In the box for the new primary beneficiary, I typed in my brother's name, Michael. I updated his contact information. I clicked Save Changes. A little green check mark appeared on the screen. It was done. It was a quiet, digital, and utterly final act. I had just reallocated the entire value of my future from her to someone I could actually trust. The next few days were strange. Sarah, buoyed by her victory, was more brazen than ever. She didn't try to hide her late nights. She was openly texting the guy who had, I presumed, left the mark on her neck. She thought our argument was over, that she had successfully established her freedom. I didn't argue. I didn't bring it up. I just watched. I was collecting data. The subplot to all of this, the thing that would eventually become the stage for the final act, was the annual Climb to the Top charity event. It's a huge fundraiser where firefighters from all over the state climb the 50 flights of stairs of the city's tallest skyscraper in full gear. About 75 pounds of extra weight. It's a brutal, punishing event, and I had been training for it for months. It was a big deal for me and for my family. My brother Michael was flying in for it. The week of the climb, I decided it was time to put the final pieces in place. I sat Sarah down one evening. My tone was serious and concerned. "Hey," I said. "With the big climb coming up this weekend, and with my job being what it is, I was thinking we should really get our affairs in order. Just in case." She looked at me, a flicker of interest in her eyes. "What do you mean?" "Just practical stuff," I said. "I want to make sure you're protected. I want to go over our finances, make sure you know all the account numbers, and I want to review my life insurance policy with you, so you know exactly what to do if anything ever happens to me." The word insurance seemed to flip a switch in her. Her expression softened. She saw this as an act of love, of possession, in a way she approved of. "Okay, Ben, that's really thoughtful of you." I spent the next hour creating a folder of documents. I printed out our bank statements, our mortgage details, a list of our assets, and I printed out a summary page for my life insurance policy. I filled in the policy number, the coverage amount, all the details, but I left the line for the beneficiary conspicuously blank. It was a trap laid with the quiet patience of a man who deals with literal ticking time bombs for a living. The night before the stair climb, I sat her down at the dining room table. The folder was between us. I was playing the part of the responsible, loving fiancé securing her future. "Okay," I said, opening the folder. "Let's just go through this so you know where everything is." I walked her through our finances. I showed her the mortgage statements. She was bored but playing along. Then I pulled out the final sheet of paper. "And this is the big one," I said, sliding the insurance summary in front of her. "The life insurance policy. Just want to make sure you have a copy of this." She picked it up. I watched her eyes go wide as she saw the coverage amount. It was a life-changing number, a number that would allow her to live a very, very comfortable life without me. "Wow," she breathed. "I didn't realize it was that much." "Yeah," I said, my voice full of fake sincerity. "I want to make sure you're taken care of, if I fall off a ladder or something. So that last line there, the beneficiary. I just wanted to write your name in for our official record so it's all in one place." She beamed at me. It was the most genuine, happy smile I'd seen from her in months. It was the smile of a woman who had just won the lottery. "Of course, baby." I picked up a pen. I held it over the blank line. And then I stopped. I looked at her, my face a mask of sudden confusion. "Actually," I said, tapping the paper. "There's a problem with that. I can't." Her smile faltered. "What do you mean you can't?" "Well," I began, choosing my words carefully. I logged into the policy portal the other day, last Tuesday actually, right after our little talk. I was just checking the details and I noticed something. The beneficiary was listed as Sarah Miller fiancé. But that word fiancé, it implies a certain partnership, doesn't it? It implies a level of trust, a level of possession, I guess. It implies that we possess each other's fidelity. But you made it very clear to me that morning that's not our arrangement. You said, and I quote, "My body is my own." You established that we are autonomous individuals, not a single unit. I watched as the color drained from her face. She knew where this was going. So listing you as my fiancé would be a form of fraud, I continued, my voice still calm and even. It's not an accurate description of our relationship based on the terms you set. So I corrected the error. I updated the policy to reflect our new autonomous reality. I changed the beneficiary to my brother Michael. She just stared at me, her mouth slightly open. The smug, victorious woman from last Tuesday was gone, replaced by a pale, horrified stranger. "You're absolutely right, Sarah," I said, putting the cap back on the pen. "Your body is your own. You are free to do whatever you want with it. But my life, my future, and the financial security that comes from my very dangerous job, that's my own too. And I've decided to leave it to someone I can trust completely." The meltdown was everything you would imagine. The tears, the screaming, the accusations. She called me manipulative. She called me a monster. She said I had been planning this all along. "No," I said calmly. "You planned this. You just didn't think about the paperwork. You wanted freedom without consequences. But in my world, actions and consequences are linked. You can't have one without the other." I told her it was over. I told her I wanted her out of my apartment, my house, my life. The next morning I did the stair climb. It was brutal. Every step was agony. But as I climbed, I felt like I was shedding a massive weight from my own back. When I finally got to the top, gasping for air, my brother Michael was there. He handed me a bottle of water and gave me a hug. "You did it," he said. "I'm proud of you." And I knew he wasn't just talking about the stairs. It took her a month to move out. A month of angry texts, tearful phone calls, and pathetic attempts at manipulation. I ignored it all. I was busy reclaiming my life. I heard she tried to make a go of it with the guy who gave her the Hickey. It lasted about 3 weeks. It turns out without the stability and comfort of the life I provided as a backdrop, her chaos wasn't so appealing. She thought my possessiveness was the problem. She didn't understand that what she called possessiveness was actually protection. It was love. It was the quiet, boring, everyday work of building a future for someone. And when she rejected that, she didn't just lose a boyfriend. She lost the biggest asset she ever had, a claim to a future that I was building for her. And now I'm building it for myself.